Hi lacrosse fans, welcome back to episode number 22 of the Sticks and Picks Lacrosse podcast presented by Lacrosse Unlimited. Lacrosse Unlimited has provided the best equipment, apparel, and lacrosse footwear since 1990. Be sure to check out their website at lacrosseunlimited.com. I'm your host, Will Petschnig, alongside co-host Jake Fox. In today's episode, we talk to Rochester Knighthawks player Dan Michel. He shares some stories about his junior lacrosse career and talks about his journey to play in the National Lacrosse League. Dan also talks about his sister Leah, who has faced adversity through an unfortunate injury and has come back stronger than ever. He's a Clarington Minor Lacrosse Association product. He played all 5 years of junior A lacrosse for the Peterborough Lakers. He captained the team for 3 of them. He's a graduate of Trent University of the Canadian University Field Lacrosse Association, a current National Lacrosse League player for the Rochester Knighthawks, and Major Series lacrosse player for the Brooklin Lacrosse Club. Thanks for coming on, and welcome Dan Michel.
Yeah, boys, thanks for having me. This should be fun. I was looking forward to it.
I was about to say, Dano, I think you've been texting me all week, just getting pumped up for this, thinking of stories to tell. So I'm excited to have you.
Yeah, for sure. No, I haven't done. I'm a big podcast listener. I like watching the Barstool, listening to the Barstool podcast. So I've never done something like this. So I'm pretty excited.
We're definitely excited to have you, and we're just trying to bring out some lacrosse stories and kind of talk about different journeys that different players have had throughout their careers. So we're going to kind of dive into things here and start talking about your minor lacrosse and how did you really get involved with the game of lacrosse? I know you grew up playing for Clarington Minor, but how did you get involved with the game?
Yeah, so actually kind of a cool story how I started out. So, my dad's from Peterborough, so he never played lacrosse, but he was always a lacrosse fan, just like everybody else in Peterborough. So growing up in Clarington, I was a little kid. He used to take me to the Junior B Gales games all the time, and that's kind of where I first got my first glance at lacrosse, where I really started to fall in love with it. But growing up, I was actually also really into soccer when I was a little kid. So my first year playing lacrosse, I was playing house league lacrosse and trying out for the rep soccer team in town. So I was just going to play rep soccer and then house league lacrosse just because it was kind of in the springtime. And then as I was trying out for the soccer team, I got a call from the rep lacrosse coach, Harold Hoare, who's actually the father of NLL player Stephen Hoare. So, I'm a little kid. I'm like 9 years old, and he calls me and he's like, "Hey, we want you to try out for the Tyke rep team." So I tell him, I said, "No, like I'm trying out for the rep soccer team." And he goes, soccer is something you do with your friends at recess. So from then on, I kind of thought about it, and he's like, "No, you're right." So I hung up the soccer cleats and played lacrosse every summer ever since.
I think we were talking about it earlier too. Your Clarington teams growing up were pretty loaded with guys who have played in the NLL now. You guys just couldn't get over that hump, and you guys couldn't win anything. Talk about growing up and on paper, we had the best minor lacrosse team you have ever seen in your entire life. We had Matt Gilray, Connor Kiernan. We had NLL draft picks, Ben Drake, Sean Durock. Tyler Galton had some NLL games. Zach Bryan played in the Pro Field League. Like, our team was just absolutely stacked. Like, I think we only had 2 players on the team who didn't play junior. Everybody was junior A, junior B, junior C. Like, we were just absolutely stacked. I don't know what it was, just a couple of late bloomers, I guess you could say. Talk about, obviously Clarington's huge in their lacrosse. Talk about some of the coaches you had growing up and kind of pushed you and then pushed you to go into the next level. And then obviously you ended up being in Peterborough afterwards. But let's talk about some of those minor coaches that kind of had a big hand in developing your game.
Yeah, for sure. So like I mentioned before, my first coach, Harold Hoare, was probably one of the most scariest individuals I've ever met in my entire life. But just he was such a great, introduction into lacrosse. He was very, very old school. He expected a lot of us even from a young age. And I kind of kept that, work ethic mentality all throughout my career. Then we had Mike Drake for a lot of years there, who's a great lacrosse mind. He reps at a high level now, and he's definitely helped me throughout my career along with Paul Kiernan. So we had some great coaches in Clarington, and definitely wouldn't be where I am today without them.
So you went on, yeah, for sure. You had a very strong team. I played with a bunch of those guys that you mentioned before, but you went on to a pretty successful personal junior lacrosse career with the Peterborough Lakers, and you played 5 years there, and you were the captain for 3 years. That's pretty rare to do for a player to go and be a captain for 3 years in an Ontario Junior A Lacrosse League. Can you just kind of talk about your experience with the junior team?
Yeah, for sure. So I was very lucky. So honestly, growing up, like playing lacrosse, I always kind of saw myself as a kind of a hockey player first. That was kind of where, my true love was. I loved playing hockey, and lacrosse was just something I kind of did in the summer. And then once I got drafted by Peterborough, that's kind of when the shift for me really changed. I started focusing on lacrosse. I was pretty lucky to get drafted at Peterborough. Actually, the reason I did get drafted at Peterborough, because I was under the radar. I never played Team Ontario or Edge or anything like that. My food nutrition teacher in high school, Todd Richard, the Rocket, who ended up coaching me later in my junior career, was he's friends with. He obviously played pro. He's friends with Tracy and Kleski and Dan Carey and Matt Giles and all them. So he's the one who kind of got my foot in the door and got me, drafted into Peterborough. And then I remember showing up my first camp and fit in nicely, and kind of the rest is history there.
I remember your first camp. I was a major midget, and I was trying to get on Peterborough's radar, so I showed up to camp. And talk about the incident on the 2-on-2 drill with Brody Burkhoff. Berkey was coming out as a fighter, and I love Berkey. He's a great guy, but you two kind of got into it a bit.
Oh, it's actually funny. Me and my girlfriend here, we just did a Zoom boot camp that Brody put on. It's pretty funny. So I show up. I'm a little. I'm an out of town kid, right? Peterborough's pretty close knit. Like, they don't necessarily love outsiders right away. You kind of gotta get your foot in the door. So I remember showing up my first junior A camp. I'm a little 16, 17-year-old, and Brody Burkhoff's probably about 6'3", 225. He's a monster, right? And so I walk in, and he's outside the training room, pretty much in the lobby, because that's kind of where the dressing rooms were in the old Warsaw Arena. And he's got his shirt off, just absolutely ripped, taping his wrists before this tryout. And it's like, I'm walking in there as a little kid, little 16, 17-year-old, being like, what am I getting myself into? Like, he's the first thing I think of junior A lacrosse, just seeing this monster. So practice goes on pretty early on into practice. You can tell that he's looking for something to happen. So I think he just kind of spotted me as an outsider. He probably didn't know how old I was, because I was probably the same height I am now back then. And we just kind of we're in a 2-on-2 drill on one end. We just kind of get tangled up, and next thing you know, my helmet, he actually ripped the cage right off my helmet. So I just kind of draw my gloves and just held on for dear life. And luckily, the big Matt Giles was able to step in and break it up before anything too serious happened. But that's something that you probably don't see a whole lot of nowadays. But that definitely, got my name out there right away going to camp. I earned a lot of respect after that. So definitely a cool moment. Now that I see Berkey around town, it's funny to look back on.
I remember Giles grabbing Berkey, saying, "You can go, guys, but you don't grab a guy that we just drafted."
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely got learned what junior lacrosse was all about right away. So,
kind of like Will said earlier too, you were captain for 3 years. You were basically most of my junior career. You were my captain as well. Talk about not only being a captain, but you were one of the first. And I mean, I think other than you and me, it's very rare that you see someone from outside of Peterborough being a captain there. So talk about what that experience was. I remember when it was first announced, some Peterborough faithful were a little confused on not having a Peterborough guy with the C on their jersey. So talk about that a little bit.
yeah, it was no, like for me, I never really thought of it as a big deal until because like to me, I was in Peterborough. Like I really tried to, you know, I don't know, blend in with the Peterborough people culture. Like I tried to live there when ended up going to Trent. So I really felt myself as a Peterborough player. But yeah, I remember when the news first kind of came out, it was just such a big storyline for everybody. And I was shocked, and I didn't really realize what a big deal it was. So, it's something that I'm really honored to be a part of. It's such a, historic organization. And, I'm really, really blessed there, and to wear letter there was extremely special.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably if you probably didn't do that first, I probably would have been able to do it as well. So I guess I owe you a little thanks there for doing that with me for me.
You earned it, Foxy.
Another thing that happened during your junior career was a unfortunate spinal stroke to your sister, Leah. Talk about that situation. I remember all the fundraisers you and your family did. We did a scrimmage, and I remember all the proceeds going to helping her and kind of her comeback, because now she's she's a stud at Trent, ripping it up there, and she's become back 100% healthy and just rip it up and playing the game she loves again. So kind of talk about how that was. I know how that hurt your family and how you guys went through it, but it was incredible to see everything you guys did for her, and now seeing her the way she is back and playing again.
Oh yeah, for sure. She's a rock star. Yeah, I don't know if your listeners would know her, but I don't know, I think it would have been 2013. My sister, who's definitely a better athlete than I was, both hockey and lacrosse, suffered a spinal stroke, which is a very rare. It's very rare. I don't know if you call it a disease or whatever, but so what happened, she was playing in a hockey tournament in Ottawa, and she started going numb in her back, and it kind of looped away around to her front and then all the way down her legs. So she ended up being paralyzed from the waist down for a couple weeks, staying at the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario there in Ottawa. She decided that she wasn't going to let this, stop her from, continuing to play sports and, continuing to live every day. So she rehabbed, worked her, worked her bag off. She worked super hard to get back to where she is, and she was able to continue to play lacrosse, and now she's absolutely tearing it up the women's league at Trent. They just won their second championship. She's won her second championship there. Team MVP. Very inspiring story she's got.
Oh, that's for sure. I remember playing for the Green Gales, and I think we even had some fundraisers going on there. And I mean, it's great to see her doing so well today and her having all that success she is with her Trent University lacrosse career. You just talked about Trent. You went to Trent. How did you end up choosing Trent? And can you just kind of talk about the quality of lacrosse and how it's kind of changed compared to what it used to be?
Yeah, so I don't know if a lot of people know this. I actually started my university career at St. Mary's University in Halifax. So I was there for 2 years, and then when my sister had her accident there, I decided it was kind of time to come home, be a little bit closer to home. And at that point, it was kind of a better step for me in my lacrosse career, because I was able to, be in Peterborough full time. I was able to play in the AOL. So Trent was an easy choice for me. Like, I had already established myself in Peterborough. I had a lot of friends there. And it's great school. And, their lacrosse program was really starting to take off and starting to get some great recruits. And it had just such a fun culture. And to this day, like, all those guys on that team are still some of my best friends, talk to them all the time. And I just loved it. I loved my time there. It was great.
I knew a lot of Trek guys that, God, it was just a bunch of beauties who just loved playing lacrosse. And what I would like you to talk about a little bit is talk about QFLA in general. So for some of the American people who might not know, QFLA is the Canadian College Field League that happens. And, every year it ends with a championship and the Final Four, just like it does in the States. But it doesn't get the same recognition for what it is because it's considered club here. So kind of talk about how that league grown, the quality of players in that league, and and then the growth of Trent through that as well, and kind of just the star power you guys had.
Yeah, Kufa lacrosse is by far the funnest lacrosse you'll ever play in your entire life. Like, if you're a player who isn't 100% in love with field lacrosse, and you want to play it and you want to have some time at the end of the season, like, it is the perfect spot for you, because it is so much fun. And I think in the past there's been a bit of a stigma around the quality of lacrosse, but how many players you see every year getting drafted to the NLL from the Kufa League? Like, it's definitely growing. Obviously, like, you can't compare it to how in the States treats their athletics. Like, it has no comparison like that. But if you're honestly just looking for stay close to home, keep the cost down, like, it's such a great alternative, and it's so much fun. Like, it's such a blast. And if you have interest outside of lacrosse, like, I remember my first year at Trent, I was able to go back and play after the season. I was able to go back and play junior C hockey with all my buddies I grew up with. So you get to play two I think it's like 2 months and a bit of high quality field lacrosse, and then I got to go back and play junior C hockey with all my buddies. Like, it was a blast. I loved it.
Like going into at Trent University, you were working at a bar. I think you're working at Champs Bar, if that's correct.
The Champs Peterborough, yeah, I was working there.
Yeah, so you were going to university, you're working at the bar, and you're playing lacrosse, and you had teammates like Nick Tchaikovsky and Adam Proney and Ethan Schott all trying to go on, like yourself, trying to make an NLL program. Can you kind of talk about balancing that schedule and how tough it was at that time?
Yeah, like, I think every lacrosse player is in the same boat, right? Nobody's making a living just off of lacrosse. So, staying organized, staying on top of everything, and just making everything work and going with the flow is huge. Even now, being in the NLL and having a full-time job, like, it's just, it's just all about balancing and keeping everything together.
All right, I was going to say, we're going to have a little fun here, bud. All right, we're going to do a little this or that segment. So I got some questions lined up for you. And your first one that comes to mind, you're going to pick it, and we'll see how you do.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Field lacrosse or box lacrosse?
Box lacrosse, 100%.
The Memorial Center or the Rickard Center?
Oh, no. I got to go with the Garnet B record. The Borough boys are going to hate me for that one.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of crap for that. First NLL goal or your first senior A goal?
I don't think I can remember my first senior A goal. So I got to go NLL goal.
So that's an easy choice.
Yeah.
Score a game winner or game-winning assist?
So I score the game winner, or I pass it to get the game-winning assist?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I think you got to go with the goal, even though
If you say an assist, I think you're a liar because everybody wants to score the goal.
Jeez.
But either fine with me.
Western Lacrosse Association or Major Series?
Ooh. No, because I'm from here, I have to say Major Series, I think. But the WLA's got a lot of positives too,
though. Trucks or sports cars?
Trucks, I think.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Pints in the basement or shots at the bar?
Basement.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
All right. Florida tracksuit shots or porn star shots? Peterborough Classics.
The Kyle Killen. I'll go with the Kyle Killen Florida tracksuit.
All right. You're a big Leafs guy, so which team would you rather cheer for, Bruins or Habs?
I guess I'll say the Habs, just because of recent memory here.
All right, and the last one, would you rather go on the keto diet or the big man, aka Cam Garland diet?
The keto diet would be way easier than the Cam Garland diet for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. We had
a lot
to give
of sodium in the Cam Garland diet.
No, that's great for sure. I mean, I've known Gar for many years, and he used to be a big boy, and he's trimmed down quite a bit, so it's good for him. We're gonna get into talking about a little bit of your NLL career and kind of go back to draft day in 2016. You were a 4th round pick, 38th overall to the New England Black Wolves. Can you kind of talk about that experience and how that was for you and your family?
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely a dream come true. You work so hard to get to that moment, and you never really know what's going to happen. And to hear your name being called is just such a special feeling. Something you think about all the time as a kid, but for it to come true is really special. And having my parents with me there, it was very neat.
Back then, I think it was still at the track at the Toronto Rock Athletic Center, right there on the turf field.
Yeah. How lucky you were. You were in Philly? Yeah, you're in Philly. How lucky were you guys get to go to Philly at the Xfinity Live there? It looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was we'll say the NLL's really hyped up their draft since then. It's they've done a pretty decent job at it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Talk about your first NLL camp. New England was a team on the rise when you got there, and obviously it's tough to crack a spot on any team in your first year in the league. So talk about that, and then we'll get into kind of the ALL after.
Yeah, for sure. It's I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect going in. We had our first weekend at Mohegan Sun. I think we only had the one practice, but we did a lot of media stuff. And what a great place that is. The resort there is incredible. And then we kind of had a couple weekends where we got into some scrimmages and stuff like that. And I think at that point I definitely wasn't ready to make that transition to the NLL. I didn't have a lot of senior experience. I was still fresh out of junior. So it definitely took me a little bit to get my game up to that point, but that was a great experience for me, just kind of knowing where I need to be and how do I kind of get there. Yeah.
Okay, be honest. How much time did you spend on the tables at Mohegan Sun at your first training camp?
Oh, you can't. I was an employee at that point.
So did you go down the street?
No, I didn't. I was was too nervous to do anything at that point.
Oh God, I love it. That's a big thing. I mean, obviously, if you get a game in Mohegan Sun, the boys love to spend a couple hours on the tables there. It's one of the advantages of going there.
Yeah, that might be one of the best road cities, I'd say. It's definitely up there.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Obviously, like I kind of mentioned, and you mentioned, right, the jump to the NLL wasn't quite there right at first, and you were lucky enough to go to Peterborough in the Arena Lacrosse League, and you had to grind your way from there. So talk about that experience in that league. I don't think people realize just how often guys kind of, especially now with expansion, how many guys are really making that jump. And I mean, the ALL kind of has a rough past to begin with, but it's really turned itself around into a really good league, and creating players like yourself who are able to make that jump and make impact in the NLL.
Yeah, I definitely didn't have a very smooth path to the NLL. You know, a lot of doubt at times, but the ALL was something that you know, I could use to work on my game, and it's helped out a lot of players, right? Because, you know, lacrosse isn't like other leagues where, you know, you get sent down to the minor leagues and they get to play. Like these are guys who are, you know, paying their own money to go drive with a car full of 5 other guys, like, to Six Nations on a Friday night, and then coming back playing a matinee at Children's Arena the next day. So it's definitely it's an interesting league, but you know, it's a great way to work on your game, and it's definitely, the skill level is getting better, and I hope it continues on and players keep developing out of there, because you know, there's not really much else for guys.
Yeah. Oh, obviously you took your full advantage of playing that league, and it led to a 2-year contract with Rochester, the new expansion franchise, Rochester Knighthawks, the Army Green, not the old blue ones. Talk about the excitement for you going to New Rochester. Obviously, a lot of familiar faces. Has a very you can say Peterborough background in that team, and talk about how the excitement you had, and again, the play. I remember watching your first game on BR Live when you got in, and I remember you scored that game and everything, and then, you know, obviously having you as my captain back in junior, I remember jumping up and being super excited for you, and you've kind of worked your way into a pretty good spot there.
Yeah, definitely. It was that was such a great fit for me to you know, come into camp already knowing, you know, so many guys on the team, and even like guys I played at Trent with were there. So I felt super comfortable right away, which is huge for me, right? Because half of the time when you're, you know, a rookie going into camp, is just the nerves, and, you know, it's kind of seeing where you fit in the lineup. But you know, I just went in and tried to, you know, work as hard as I could, and just try to earn my spot. But it was such a cool experience being able to play at that level with guys that you played, you know, 4 or 5 years of junior with. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, it's definitely for sure an honor to play in the National Lacrosse League. And when you have a story like yours, kind of facing adversity throughout your early career and making a jump and doing well in your first season in the National Lacrosse League, that's always exciting. We're going to kind of talk about, you have experience playing in both Canadian Senior A leagues. It's the summer leagues here in Canada, with the Major Series Lacrosse League in Ontario, and the Western Lacrosse Association out west. Can you kind of talk about your experiences just playing in those summer leagues and what they're all about?
Yeah, so coming out of junior, I got so Peterborough still had my rights, and they're obviously a stacked team every year. So my options were to kind of stay and play Senior B and get in a couple of Senior A games with Peterborough, or I got an opportunity to go out west in Nanaimo. Which was kind of a no-brainer at the time. Like, I really didn't have anything holding me back. I was still in school. I didn't have a job. I was single at the time. So it was great, and it was such a great experience. And I would recommend, if any lacrosse player has the opportunity to go out west for a season, do it for sure. Like, it's just such a beautiful place out there, and you get to meet a lot of great people. And I had a blast out there in BC. I wouldn't say I necessarily had the best year lacrosse wise, but just being able to see a different part of the country was really cool.
You had a pretty I would say interesting beginning out in Nanaimo, from what I remember. I remember being a little bit of a gong show for you. You want to talk about that a little bit, or are you going to keep that under wraps?
No, I think it's just the adjustment with everything, right? Like you're moving to a new province, and yeah, sometimes it's just not what you expect. But at the end of the day, like they treated me well, and can't complain about much.
You came back to Ontario, ended up, split time between Lakers and James gang a little bit, the senior B, and then you made your way over to the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, where once again I was able to be your teammate. Talk about that move from with the Lakers organizations over to Brooklyn, and playing with us this summer, and kind of that experience was for you. It was a lot of fun, and it was good to see you in the locker room.
Yeah, I definitely had a interesting summer. This was a big summer for me. This is where I kind of, really fell in love with lacrosse again. I got to, I started scoring goals again, and lacrosse just became easy for me. And like that's really helped me into getting a shot to go to an NLL camp. I started off with the James gang. Was having a pretty good year, and then an opportunity came up where I got to go play in Owen. I got dealt at the deadline to go play in Owen Sound. So what had happened was, I knew the trade was going to happen on the Friday. So I was going to go finish the season in Owen Sound. And then I remember I woke up Thursday morning to a bunch of texts saying, "Oh, congrats, you got traded to Brooklyn." And at this point, I'm like, what's going on? Like I was getting traded to Owen Sound. And then they're like, "Oh, no, like Brooklyn Senior A." And so this was kind of, I had no idea what was coming. So I got traded in both leagues a day from each other. And then neither of the teams knew that these trades were coming. So I was kind of, what do I kind of do there? But at the end of the day, they both worked out great for me. I love playing in Owen Sound. It's kind of an underrated lacrosse hotbed. The guys are phenomenal. And I got an opportunity to play Senior A again and work on my game, and that ultimately got me a chance to go to a NLL training camp. So I'm thankful for the summer I had.
I love the fact that you got traded for Mark Matthews. I thought that was awesome.
Funny story. So I moved to Peterborough with my girlfriend here, and a guy, the random neighbor across the street, the old guy, he doesn't even know that I play lacrosse. But he was talking about how all lacrosse is canceled for the summer. Lacrosse going to be canceled for the summer and stuff like that. And then he's telling me what a big Lakers fan he was. And he's like, we weren't too sure about that Matthews guy, but we're glad he's on the team now. And then I was like, oh, actually, I got traded for that guy. So, Peterborough's lacrosse fans everywhere, right? So that was pretty funny. That actually just happened last week.
One thing people don't understand is just how grueling summer ball is compared to the NLL. Literally, it goes from maybe one game a weekend, one game every other week with buys, to going to summer ball and you're playing 2-3 games a week. Talk about the how big of a difference that is between the two leagues.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that all the games, the arenas are just so hot, like all of them, probably except Peterborough. And then two, all the games are during the week. So you you get up, you work all day, and then you get home, grab something to eat, and then go straight to the rink. Like it's quite the grind in the summer, but it's a lot of fun. Definitely now that I've played a little bit in the NLL, that you can see the difference. But the caliber is great in both, and I've always enjoyed playing in the summer.
We're gonna have a little bit of fun here with you now. We're gonna go into our Twitter creep. Just before we start, I gotta ask you: are you a good driver, or do you think you're a bad driver?
Who did someone tell you to say that?
No, I'm just asking, just from looking through your Twitter.
I am a terrible driver.
Okay.
I actually just got. Well, this wasn't even my fault, but I
I got in a car accident this summer, but then I got hit last Friday. I got rear-ended. So that one wasn't my fault, but yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the best driver.
All right. Well, we're glad you're good. So we're gonna go back to January 7th, 2018. You tweeted, "Only time I back into parking spots is when there is enough snow on the ground so nobody sees the lines." Can you kind of explain
100%. Yeah. Well, after I got in that accident, my car got written off, so I got a new car that has a backup camera. So now I can back in because I have the camera. But before, when I didn't have the camera, there was no way I was backing in.
That's awesome. All right, one more here. On October 15th, 2015, you tweeted, "Is it weird to still be fired up to press the button when you cross the street?"
Wait, what year was that? 2015?
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, I still get a little bit fired up, I guess. I don't I guess I must have been a student at that time, so I probably didn't have a car, so I was probably walking a lot more. I can't remember the last time I hit it, but you probably get a little bit excited to do that.
You're the guy who would hold down the button so you get to hear the little birdie chirping, eh?
Well, I'm the type of guy that'll hit it like 50 times until it. I'm pretty sure everyone does that though.
Were you ever the guy who, waiting at the lights, would jump out of the car real quick, press the button, make it think like so it would go faster?
No. That must be an Ottawa thing.
We'll call it a Finley thing. So we talked to a couple buddies, and obviously I played with you long enough. And I spent a lot of days and a lot of nights and slept on a lot of couches at the old ice box. You want to explain to people what the ice box was and give us a little preview of that beautiful, beautiful home?
Yeah, so one of the best parts about playing lacrosse at Trent is that, you know, everybody lives together, right? So there's probably like probably 4 or 5 lacrosse houses just full of players. And so luckily for me, like I was playing lacrosse in Peterborough in the summer, so we had our own house, which I bet you a lot of junior teams don't have. You know, a lot of the players would live at home and stuff. So we had a free house where guys could, you know, stay overnight if they needed to or do whatever they want. So we had the lake house in junior, and we also had the ice box. So me and Nick Finley, Johnny Lynch, we all played in the junior A team together, and we all stayed there. And it was just, you know, it was a blast. We all worked in Peterborough, and you know, I'm sure there's a lot of stories that I can't tell in here, but no, it was a great spot there.
You forgot about all the rats that lived there too.
Yeah, you know, that's college, right?
Oh, that place was the best. We had our nice we'll call them welcoming parties there back in the day. That place was awesome. I remember the whole team would meet up there. You'd have a couple pints, and then we would take a little 15-minute walk to the bar from there. It was a lot of fun doing that. I was also told to bring up, in no specific order, you probably have lots of stories from these: Champs Bar, Sin City, and Pig's Ear.
So Champs is, if you're not from Peterborough, definitely take some time to go to Champs, because it's kind of like, it's like a Peterborough sports museum almost. Like you walk in there, there's pictures of, you know, Peterborough Lakers teams from, you know, the 70s, 80s, 90s. I know like John Grant Jr.'s got a signed picture on there that says, "To Champs, my second home, John Grant Jr." So I definitely, like, I don't know, the main cup's probably been there, well, 100 times. Like it's kind of a I don't know, Churchill lacrosse type of place there. So if you're not from Peterborough, definitely check it out. Sin City's and definitely a different kind of establishment from Champs. Won't go into too much detail, but it's definitely it was a Trent Lacrosse favorite. The old Sin City, RIP. Pigs Ear, I actually never been to the Pigs Ear. I know my dad, when he grew up, that was kind of his spot. So, but
I think I've been there once, but it closed down a couple years ago. I've never been there, but it was a pretty wild spot.
Yeah, Shotzi said pigs here, so we can blame him for ruining that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it was
Shotzi.
kind of a hipster Trent bar, so Shotzi would have fit right in there.
And then the other story I want you to talk about, it ties in a little bit of both of us, was a nice scrap you had in St. Catharines. It didn't quite go your way, and I remember after it started kind of. It was honestly the reason why I had to start fighting a little bit. You want to tell that story?
Man, all the people listening are gonna think I'm like an ultra tough guy or something. All these fighting stories, but
Right.
pretty
Dan
much.
Dan is not an ultra tough guy, but he's willing. That's what's matter. That's what matters. He's willing, but he rather not.
Yeah, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but also a fighter. Yeah, I don't know. We were just kind of in that point in the season where we weren't. We had a really good team. That was probably the best junior team I ever played on. We had such a strong team, but we had a really slow start to the year. I know we lost to St. Catharines the game before, so we were up there in St. Catharines, down a couple goals, and just trying to get something going. Ended up, I went out on the floor and tried to look at their D guys and tried to find someone who was kind of around my size. So I asked the guy, and he said no. So I go back to the bench, and I was like, oh well, I could try. Get out on the floor, and he must have told their tough guy, because their tough guy comes right at me and asked me if I wanted to go. And he at the time, like, he didn't look like a super big guy, so I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we squared off, and I don't really remember much. Just had there was a lot of blood everywhere. Not from him. So walked off the floor with a towel over my face, and it was a tough one. We went on a 9-game win streak after that, if I remember correctly.
I was gonna say I think we won more, man. I think we hit double digits. I think. But yeah, that was the start of us turning around and having a great series with 6 in the Ontario finals. We came short in, but I just remember after that, I think I had 10 fights that season, and that's because GI, Matty Giles, pulled me out of the locker room. I was a third year, and I was probably one of the bigger guys on the offense. And after the game, he pulled me out and just got right in my face and said, if our captain ever has to effing fight another tough guy, or he gets touched, or any other one gets touched, you better have your gloves off and your helmet off and grabbing that guy so quickly. And I'm paraphrasing here, obviously. But yeah, no, I love that story because it was really one of the key, points in our season that kind of turned it around. And like you said, that was probably the best junior team Peterborough's had. And basically probably since they won their last Minto in, what was that, 2007? So.
Yeah, you remember, you ever see that movie Goon? When the captain fights that tough guy, Ross the Boss Ray, and he just gets absolutely pumped. That was exactly what it was like, but probably worse for me. Every time I see that movie, I think of that. I'm like, holy, that was probably exactly what mine looked like.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's definitely great. That's a good story, and it's great that you guys had such a great run after that. We're going to go into our play until the whistle segment. There's been, over the last few years, there's been a lot of abuse towards the officials in the game of lacrosse, and what we're trying to do here is just trying to kind of slow that down and eliminate it by helping and showing that the officials are human as well. So we're going to ask you who your favorite referee is and why.
Yeah, awesome. Those are all there's some great points for sure. I think I gotta say, I don't think he's ever really reffed me. I know he reffed me in a preseason game this year, but I played junior C hockey with Brandon Hessen. I know you probably know Hess pretty well there, Petch, but what a great guy. I used to love watching Hess play lacrosse. Like, Hess was such a tough guy, and it's funny that he's a ref now. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool seeing guys like that get to the next level in other ways besides being a player. And the funny thing about lacrosse is that it's such a small community, right? Like, I'm just want to say Ian Garrison. Like Ian Garrison coached or refed us like high school lacrosse, minor lacrosse, every level that I had Ian Garrison ref. So it's kind of cool. I think he's actually from Clarington area or something like that. But kind of a funny Ian Garrison story is that when we were in high school, we used to make these like goofy, cringy like vlogs. So we used to just like film us like doing stupid stuff. Like I hope nobody here goes and finds it because it's pretty embarrassing looking back. But I remember we were watching. No, it doesn't matter. The Hill Academy of Curtis. Curtis Academy. So I remember we were making these vlogs, and I remember the one game Garrison referenced the videos we were making. Like he saw them, and I thought that was kind of the coolest thing ever. Like this ref, like nobody really knows him, but like he's he's so involved in lacrosse that he knew we were making these videos, and he's actually in one of the videos giving a shout out, which is kind of funny. So it's funny, fast forward that to how many years now, and he's reffing NLL games. He's probably one of the best refs in the NLL. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Ian Garrison and even Brandon Hessen. Brent Hess is one of the up-and-coming officials in the game of lacrosse right now, and he's going to have a long and successful career in the game as an official, and it's great what those two guys are doing right now. We're going to ask you one more question about the officials, and if you were an official, what would you like to see more from players or coaches during games to help limit the abuse towards the officials?
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody gets so fired up about everything. I think everybody just kind of has to worry about what they can control, and that yelling at a ref isn't gonna change anything. Like, yeah, something I never have been a player who has gotten mad at an official. I get a penalty, I go to the box with my head down. I don't really, it doesn't bother me as much. I know some guys are a little more high strung, but just kind of relax and they're not out there to ruin your game. Like I don't think there's any ref ever that's like, oh, this team's I'm really gonna give it to this team tonight. Like they're just out there trying to do their job. Everyone makes mistakes, and I side with the officials most of the time. But yeah, just everybody just needs to kind of relax and appreciate that they're just trying to do their job just like we are.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you said it there with relaxing and reminding everyone that they're humans as well. So everyone's allowed to make mistakes, and they're part of the game as well too. So we really appreciate you coming on here and talking to us, and we wish you the best of luck in your future lacrosse season, hopefully this summer with the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. And again, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Look forward to every episode and keep doing what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Cappy.
All right.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Sticks and Picks Lacrosse Podcast presented by Lacrosse Unlimited. Don't forget to check out their website at lacrosseunlimited.com for all your lacrosse needs. A big thank you to True Lacrosse for their continued support in growing the game of lacrosse through our podcast. True Lacrosse provides lacrosse athletes with top-of-the-line equipment and sticks in today's game. We apologize for our 3-week break, but Jake and I are excited to bring some awesome interviews your way. A reminder that you can follow us on our social media pages on Twitter and Instagram at SticksPicksLax and on Facebook at Sticks and Picks Lacrosse for future episode releases, lacrosse news, and some awesome lacrosse giveaways.